brown communities, we were told that COVID didn't affect us. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
That we were immune from somehow just because we're melanated.
Right.
We couldn't get sick.
Right.
That's
a myth.
I was gonna say the book actually addresses that. It addresses some of the myths, like but again, from the human behavior. That's what I love about this book. It's not four of us saying the same thing over and over. We literally went shoulder to shoulder and back to back. So what Sharon Green Golden addressed, I didn't address. Lila addressed some things on education. Karen, as far as being a business owner, even within sterilization, that field, and with me hitting the emotional intelligence and the transition stages. But I talked about disinformation and how disinformation is a real thing that people use. I open it up and then we talk about the channels of disinformation. Disinformation is intentional, but there are these other parts of disinformation, which is rumor, misinformation. And one of them there was a myth. I remember Waka Flocka. He's a rapper that a lot of people listen to. He has millions of followers on social media. And he came out and said, Black people can't get this. Now he has no epidemiology. He doesn't have any sterilization. What he has is a beat and a hook. Put the hook on that. That's what he has. So it's something that makes you nod your head. And so you out there nodding your head and inhaling those aerosols and then wondering why, then next thing you know, somewhere you like, oh, it's real. Yes, it's real. And so I saw a lot of people really did believe that. And kudos to Oprah for having a show where she was. But we talk about that in the book, like just some of the myths, like young people can't get it. Right now, over a million young people, like it's children, have caught COVID.
Right.
There's a lot of disinformation out there. And, again, you want to be able to go to a credible source of information. You have to pick what's going to be your credible source, not what just says what you say, not something that makes you feel good, like, oh, they said I'm right, so I'm going to go with them. No, if I'm wrong and me being wrong, somebody telling me I'm wrong is going to like save my life. Even if I don't die, save my livelihood, my money, where I can take care of the things I need to take care of. Please, somebody love me enough to bring me that truth.
You gotta check your leaders. The sad part is that we, people of color, have the short end of the stick on everything. We get diabetes, high blood pressure, we got all kinds of issues. What made us think this wouldn't take us out? Everything else takes us out. We're so diverse in our bodies. You think about all the mixtures and all the cultures that make African Americans today. It seems like we got the bad end of everything. And so to sit back and think that a disease would come in and say, not y'all, was just crazy.
Well, you know what, Sharon, Ms. Green Golden, the rumors was blatant ignorance, but I did hear some valid points. We have been so resilient, and we've seen COVID, not the disease, but crisis 10 times this magnitude that only impacted Black and brown communities. And though we met the highest demise, we still managed to make it through. But I have to tell folks, this is a different beast. Karen, in your professional viewpoint, does COVID discriminate?
No. As a matter of fact, when you had asked the question about taking it serious, I went to it was a house blessing, one of my church members, and I was there to read the scripture, and then the guy I sat next to was invited to bless the house. And less than 2 weeks later, I'm on a Zoom conference with my Sunday school because the whole state shut down right after that, and they announced that he was dead from COVID. So no. It definitely doesn't discriminate.
Wow. Lila, one thing we have in common was that we came up in the church, and I think you're publicly known your father's a preacher.
Yes.
How, in your opinion and your background and your fortitude in your community, how could Black churches in general could have responded differently in your opinion?
Well, I think that we definitely should have been more responsible in the distancing and the promoting of being safe, because people's safety should always be at the forefront of anything that we do, especially something that we do from a giving, charitable, any of those scriptures that we follow in regards to love thy neighbor and things of that nature. So if I'm loving you and as I love myself, I should be protecting you and myself from all things. And if they're telling us that a simple thing like a mask over my face is going to protect you and protect me, absolutely, let's do that. And I think that there should have just been more resources, because when I hear that, that disparity between the community, my people, here we are, we're dying and getting infected at a more proportional rate than others. It goes back to those myths, right? And that knowing the knowledge versus the nonsense, and being able to dispel what is important to our people. And I just wish we had more resources available. When I saw, I worked for a hospital that was getting in donations because it's a bigger name, right? So we were getting donations from everything. Now, did we need donations? No, but what would have been a better responsibility? Should we have donated those to other organizations and taken them to a nearby church or a community center to be able to give out masks? Because I don't think that anyone should not be able to have a mask. Someone should not be able to enter into the Rite Aid or any store in their neighborhood and be shooed away because they don't have a mask on right away. There should just be masks at the door, right? Or there should be disinfectant wipes and things of that nature. And in some places you see it, and in some places you don't. And in the urban community, which I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, there's disparities. I can travel a few miles outside of this area, this radius, and see a difference. And I actually counted this the other day, because I said I'm going to talk about this when I get an opportunity too. But I only went about 1.5 miles away from my home, and I literally counted 36 people without a mask on.
Wow.
Outside, because that's well, you can be outside and breathe in the air and COVID won't touch you. People say it all the time to me, and apparently people believe it. So it's just one of those things. I'm just like, and that's my community. I live here. I interact with these people every day. We walk to the same stores and are with each other and commute the same places, go to the same banks, and travel on the same public transportation system. And here we are believing that something cannot touch us, or we're beyond it now because it's been 8 months, or, because there's a time limit apparently on COVID too that I didn't know about. So there's just things that is disparity, and it's hard because you would think that in our communities we would be more proactive when it comes to taking care of our health, but we're still behind. And those are some of those social economic things that I just feel that we still don't reach.
Just amazing. Just amazing.
Our churches in general didn't do their due diligence. They had the ear of the people, and they should have stood up sooner and said, stay home.
Yes.
We've been learning in the building for years, and my father was a pastor, that God is everywhere. So whatever your religious belief was, whether you be a Christian, whether you be a Muslim, whether you have Kabbalah, we all believe in a greater being that has control. And had they stood up sooner and said, listen, stay home. We can do Zoom. We can do telephone conferences. You can pray at home. The church is a building.
Amen.
Don't come in this building, because we cannot protect you in the building. Most African-American churches have volunteers cleaning. And when people volunteer, they don't always give their whole 100%. I told the pastor, I can't come back to church because the volunteer, I don't know. He might have done 2 chairs and not the chair I'm sitting in. So the bottom line is, my church denomination, the bishop finally stood up and said, listen, we closing the churches. We're closing the churches. You have to understand, we're in America, and a lot of things are tied to money, money. And people were scared to shut down things because of money. People were in the field of sterilization, didn't want to come to work, and were busy trying to find out how to get to their unemployment because they were going to leave the job because of the COVID. So with the non-information, when you ask the question, what could the churches have done? They could have been more proactive and stood up and said, hey, I'm gonna call you on the phone.
Can we I want to do just a short break. Is that okay, Luane? And then when we come back, can we answer Crystal's question about the mask?
Absolutely.
That's a good question.
Okay, I'll bring it back up. Let's take a quick little question.
Awesome. Welcome back. So, Sharon, go ahead.
Crystal just asked, and I wanted to ask this question because someone I know asked me this personally. She was like, well, if the mask doesn't protect me, why do I have to wear the mask? And so Crystal asked, are masks really protecting us? I will be honest, I've had to use a mask that was on the floor of my car before. And I know I'm not the only one. No, I bet you're not. I bet a lot of people have a mask that they've been hanging onto for about a month, just wearing it because they don't know. And it says, what are your thoughts on the viability of masks as a real protection? And so I'm just going to say there are different type of masks, and then I'm going to be quiet and let some of these sterilization subject matter experts speak.
Absolutely. So we can all jump in there. So one, Crystal, the disposable surgical mask filter out about 60% of air droplets. But there's actually now some articles you can find online that they're putting all type of face coverings into a mask category, right? And they have 9 different categories. And one category of a mask, which is truly not a mask, is a bandana, believe it or not. And you see people walking around and so with bandanas, some with scarves, some with the outdoor doozies. They wear the thing that they pull from the neck up. So not all masks are created equal, right? Surgical grade masks will filter 60% of air droplets. And if you just Google N95 mask, it's N95 because it filters out 95%. But there's a huge scale between those surgical masks, N95s, and even and higher. They have masks higher than N95. So they do work. They do have a certain purpose. But to go back to our last show, I want Ms. Green Golden to speak about who are the masks truly protecting, me or you?
The mask. So I want to say, mask protect you from me, and understand they didn't just say wear a mask. They said stay away. Put the mask on and put 6 feet between me and you. And so where we've gotten it twisted is we got a mask on and we sitting up under each other. So no, you're not going to get the protection. The other thing is all masks, as he said, are not created equal. You have level 1, level 2, level 3. You run around with the synthetic mask, the cotton mask. All of the synthetic and the cotton mask are reusable. Tell you to wash it when you get back in the house. So if you put the mask on, you went outside, when you come back in, you're supposed to wash that one and get another one. So it's not a miracle thing, but it is a help. We've been wearing masks in surgeries for years to protect the patient from us, from what I got. So my mask protects you from me. Your mask protects me from you. And with the social distance, we may not contract COVID. COVID has been proven to linger in the air for many minutes after you've coughed. You walked away. Here I come along without my mask on, run right through all of your sneeze. So you need to put the little mask on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I hope that answered your question, Crystal. Here's another important topic that I know I have friends suffering from this, and they're calling it mask knee, like acne, but mask knee. People getting bumps and facial lesions from masks. So that also tells you now that not all masks are created equal. Had a friend that's allergic to latex, and guess what her mask was made of, right? Latex. So she's walking around with a continual allergic reaction.
It is a hazard of the job. I actually broke out. It's been 3 weeks now, because we were never intended to wear masks 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a day. We were supposed to put the mask on, do what you had to do, take it off, and move on. So to wear a mask continually on your face, and different masks have different components in it. My face, I had to go to the dermatologist, and she said I had contact dermatitis due to overwearing of a mask. That did not stop me from wearing my mask. She gave me some ointments, and I slap them on my face, and she said wear the cloth mask first and the paper mask on the outside of that to help your face not be so sensitive. But I'm putting on all the masks. If that means I got to wear 5, I got to wear 5. But the bottom line is I'd rather have on 5 masks, and I would technically rather have a rash on my face and 5 masks than have COVID and be dead.
Good point. Good point. So after reviewing your Sharon, I have a question for you that I was just stuck on. Please explain to the audience, to the viewers, to me, what is cognitive dissonance? And please make it plain. Don't use, Sharon uses some words. I gotta ask Google.
All right. Cognitive dissonance is what we have an epidemic of in America. Cognitive dissonance is where we have something that is clear fact in front. This is clearly factual and clearly true. And we say, yeah, but not for me. That's as layman terms as I can make it. Cognitive dissonance is if you drink 7 sodas and eat 16 pieces of cake every day, you may go into, you may run into diabetes or some type of heart disease. Or if you eat nothing but pork all day long every day, and then you say, but I ain't gonna get heart disease. That's cognitive dissonance. It's where you know smoking is bad for you. You know it's bad for you. Not you don't know. You actually know it's bad for you, but you're still smoking. And so that means you are cognitive, means you're aware. Cognitive, how I think about it. I know this is popping off. This is what it is. It is what it is. And the dissonance, the discord is, but I'm gonna still do what I do anyway. You know what I mean? I know I ain't supposed to drink and drive, but not me. I can. So what we have with that is, and I use that term because, and I try to make it funny and make it plain, but here we know people are getting sick. And we still say, well, I'm not gonna wear a mask. We know they said, it's highly the transmission rate is higher than most viruses, but we still want social distance. We say things like, well, I'm just running in the store right quick. Like that makes a difference, how fast you run in the store. It's not about speed, I was only in there for a second, but it doesn't matter. Or it's only connected with 4 people today, but you don't know who those 4 people connected with, and so you didn't social distance. So that's what cognitive dissonance is. And with what I learned in the pandemic is, you said make it plain. What I learned in the pandemic is we are so blessed in America, and we're such a prosperous country that we don't know how to live with limitations. That's one of the best things I can say about coming up poor and coming up without, is like limitations that are driving other people crazy, and they like, the sky is falling. I'm like, no, Chicken Little, it's not falling. But because we're so blessed in America, we don't know how to live with limitations, and so we just say the limitations are not there.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying?
That makes sense. That makes
cognitive dissonance is where you are completely aware of something, and then you clearly say, but it's not.
That makes sense. Hey, Karen, Lisa Dove Washington had a question. How do we get people to understand that what they do absolutely affects others and can have a direct impact on everyone else? How do we get people to
You know, it's funny. It's kind of like I was looking at that question, but then what Sharon was saying, as far as the, you know, it's not going to happen. You know, it's not going to happen. And you know, I think it's just through statistics, unfortunately, where we were saying, Sharon Green Golden was saying, as a leader, you hear someone say that is fake news, and so trying to get someone to understand that, yeah, this is real. I mean, it was easy enough for me because I was on my back for 6 weeks. By the time I did get to see the doctor, I'm saying with respiratory, I couldn't breathe. I was on humidifier, I was on inhaler, and by the time I did go get COVID tested, they said that I didn't have it, well, that I was negative. But you know, I know this is not how my body has been, and so I think it's just saying, you know, look around. Someone that you know has something going on. You know, maybe someone that you know that knows someone. But yeah, this is real. So as far as, I don't know any other way, LaWayne, than to keep saying. So if you don't do it, if you don't wear your mask, we know that things aren't going to get better. So let's try to do the mask. Our hands and you know, all of us together is going to make the difference. Because if we do nothing, for sure nothing's going to change. And so we have to do something differently in order to get back as to much normalcy as we can.
Agreed. This definitely does take a village. Hey, Lila, I'm gonna come right back to you, Sharon. Lila, we're both in position that we're raising young adults or teenagers, and I still remember when these teenagers was, no pun intended, was wilding out of control.
Right.
You know, parties, beach parties, dormitories, no mask. I can't get sick. Only older folks can get sick. What's your message? What was the message to your teenager? How did you save your children from becoming a statistic early on?
Well, you have to set down barriers and guidelines as far as what you can do, because you know, once you step outside these doors, I can't control what you do. But if you want to live here, I'm gonna need you to follow guidelines and parameters, and you can't go over everybody's house. You can't go to everybody's graduation party. You just can't do certain things, and you have to take this very seriously. Your health is important to me. My daughter went off to college, so she went away, and so I'm not there. So that was an immediate concern. You know, I was that person disinfecting the entire, dormitory room when I took her to move in, and gave her those life lessons. Made sure that her and her roommate, which was her best friend, so it was a little bit easier of a transition because I could have those real conversations where it wasn't a stranger. But even if it was a stranger, I would have been able to tell her, "This is real. I need you to practice appropriate social distancing." Live in the moment, because I want you to enjoy this experience, but don't live so much that you have to be on top of someone. We can live in this moment 6 feet apart and enjoy ourselves in that regard. And she just had a COVID. They just had a COVID outbreak, and about nine students had just caught it from the previous weekend with the celebratory of events after the election. And so they had 9 cases break out, and they isolated those cases. But it's scary because I know that she's not sick. She's not exhibiting any symptoms, but she's also returning home in a few days. So, and it's like, nothing's changed here. I had to let her know. We had a long conversation about nothing's changed here. This is still, I still need you to practice certain things. We still taking the shoes and, outer clothing off at the door, at the porch, leaving it there, coming in, washing hands, removing masks, and, in the mask stay in steady rotation in the laundry here, because that's just the precautions that I haven't stopped and I haven't let up on because it's important to me. And I feel like if we do it every day, we live by it, we definitely shouldn't die by it. So that's my message. Okay. Keep on living by this one.
Powerful. Sharon, you want to jump in there?
Okay, I was just going to say that it's kind of like before we had to have I saw a question, mandatory seatbelts. We were all riding around just happy, going through windshields, dying, just happy. Can't nobody make me put on a seatbelt, carrying our babies in the front seat, baby going through the windshield. And then when the government mandated, put the seatbelt on, we saw the statistics turn and show that it actually saved some lives. And then when some of us actually had some accidents and we didn't go through the windshield, or there were accidents you heard about where the people in the back didn't put on the seatbelt, but the people in the front did, and the people in the back went through the windshield and died, we started to follow. But it wasn't until it became punishable that the country said, okay. And that's just the kind of society we live in. Until there is a punishment associated with the process, we're not going to get everybody, because we're in a country with free speech, free thought, just do what I want to do. But what I want to say is, for people all around me, I really don't care. I'm selfish when it comes to dying. You cannot wear a mask and die over there. Stay away from me, because what you do will hinder me. You know, I don't have any teenagers, but I have an 18-year-old grandson who stays up on the 3rd floor. We wave at each other and talk over the stairs, because I can't keep up with what he's doing while I'm at work during the day. And I'm not so sure I should be safe around him, because they let their guard down. But what he does know is that when he sees his grandmother, he needs to go try to find a mask. And I'm always saying, where is your mask? Did you wash your mask? And so we have to, as Lala said, set the standards and hold true to the standards around you. Be selfish about you.
Amen.
So I sort of understand. No, I clearly understand your position. Let me choose my words carefully. But here's a question for the group. Should masks become mandatory in your state and on the federal level? Should mask wearing become mandatory? Sharon Combs?
Honestly, I say yes. I know a lot of people, like here in Texas, we have a lot of Democratic support and Republican support, and then we have what I call Trump support. And some of them, and a lot of them were my colleagues from John Maxwell, so I was kind of surprised by this. But again, if they don't work in this field, then it's kind of that cognitive dissonance again. But, you know, they were getting together, having different rallies and, you know, driving around with the flags and everything in the truck. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cheer your person on. You know, I believe you should be able to cheer your person on. But now what we have in Tarrant County, as of just this afternoon, Tarrant County is a large county. It covers Fort Worth and a lot of other towns. It's a big county. It's huge. They have 4 open ICU beds.
Wow.
4. Wow. In the entirety of Tarrant County. And that county is TARRANT for the fact checkers. And that is where like that population is strong there. And now there are 4 ICU beds open. So now we have doctors coming out. We have different mayors and governors of different areas. So I do think there should be a cost to it. Like Sharon said, she said punishable, but the cost has to exceed the the privilege. Like it has to cost somebody enough that they will consider, because you hope that they would just consider others. But right now people are so busy, like, you can't make me wear a mask, and it's so focused on me. You can't do this about me, instead of saying, I don't want to get you sick.
Right.
Okay? If you don't want to wear a mask, then don't go around others. You know, don't put yourself in a position to where because what you're saying is, I don't care about anybody else other than me. I don't think people realize the selfishness of that. You know, they're so busy trying to think, well, you can't take a right, when I say right, you know, like our rights and our privileges. A lot of people are so afraid, no. And some are from other places where maybe there was some socialist things, and they're like, no, if you give them one thing, they're gonna take everything and all that. And so it's like an over response because it's born out of their own deficit. I know the one you don't like when I start talking about human behavior. What I'm saying is they're trying to hold out the cookies because they didn't have no cookies where they came from. But listen, you're making other people sick. So I do think the mask should be, I do think there should be a cost to that if you're not wearing a mask.
Okay. I do. Kind of reminds me of I remember some years ago when people that knew they had HIV and that they would intentionally sleep with someone without using protection, without letting that person know. And I think
all of those.
Yeah. I feel like it's the same line. You know, you don't know. I mean, because right now this is so new, so many people don't know. if they have the virus. So yeah, you need to protect yourself, or there needs to be some kind of consequence for that person that's not. Protect yourself, protect others. Like Sharon said, if you don't care about yourself, you need to care about all the other people around.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect us all the same. So if something that affects, I've witnessed it with people that I'm very, very close to, and one person caught COVID, and then consequently her mother caught COVID, and she was hospitalized with it. And thank God that she was able to recover but she's still on oxygen and things of that nature. So you can't judge by how you got it as how someone else is going to receive it. Mm-hmm. And that is just those dispelling myths that people keep thinking that, well, I ain't going to get it because I'm not around other people that's sick, or I only do this every day or whatever. But it doesn't matter, because all it takes is one interaction with someone that will cause you to get infected, and therefore you don't even know. You could be asymptomatic and bring it home to your children or to a neighbor that are, or your own parents. And next thing you know, they're fighting for their life. They're in a fight for their life at this point for something that you could have avoided. There was
the young man that went to the bar, had the party down in Florida, didn't believe he could get COVID. If he did, he wouldn't die. And just before he died, he said, I shouldn't have gone to the party. It's a little late when you're at the end of the journey. It's kind of like in the Bible, the rich man that wanted God to let him tell his brothers about hell. It was too late. He wanted Lazarus to go and let him know. Listen, but the bottom line is that we have to understand the process. And as COVID is surging yet again, in the book we said the pandemic the next time, well, we never got past the pandemic. They're now saying that statistically it's going to be 2 more years before we completely clear this, because we got to take vaccines that we all looking crazy saying, I'm not going to take the vaccine. Well, what I do know is we haven't been able to get Americans to completely take the flu shot.
Yeah.
And that's been around for over 20 years. And now we coming with saying, hey, we need you to take the flu shot, and we're going to need you to take this vaccine. Vaccines usually take 4 years to be made, to be cleared, to be approved. And now they're going to get EUAs, emergency use authorizations, to say, let's run out here and start inoculating people. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Either you all been dragging these diseases along, looking for cures, or what made you find the cure in less than a year? All of a sudden, Ebola's been around since 1976. We didn't even start trying to find a cure until it got on a plane and came to America. COVID dropped in, and we got a cure coming. 95%.
Think about that.
Right.
That's right.
So now you got to try to get people to take a shot, and they're starting with the healthcare people. I was like, start with the people that didn't mind getting the COVID. Get them the shots first.
How about that? I totally agree that masks should be mandated. However, the penalty and enforcement has to be equal. Okay, because they have laws on the books right now, but for me, it's going to cost me $10. For someone else, it's going to cost a penny. And a case in point, real life example: New York City. We had some of my friends in the Hasidic Jewish community. The entire city was on mandatory lockdown. The entire city was on no gatherings for under 20 people. Certain neighborhoods in New York City had weddings that had 1,800 people. You can look this up. In the middle of COVID, no mask, because it was an infringement on my religious right. It was an infringement on my liberties to move freely without impediment. So I agree with the mandatory mask, but I also would encourage our state and local leaders. Enforcement has to be leveraged. It has to be equal, no matter the community, no matter the shade of day.
I just Tia, I like what Tia Michelle said, because it's true. I just want to submit this. If the worst thing that happens today is I have to put on a mask, I'm having a good day. I don't have COVID. I don't have cancer. For me, I haven't been evicted. I haven't lost, my mortgage is still intact. So if the worst thing that happens to me today is I have to wear a mask,
right.
I consider myself to still be having a good day. Now, some people may say that's ignorance, or some people may say, you don't know what they're trying to do. Then maybe I don't know what and I don't know who they are. Maybe I don't know what they're trying to do. But if that's the worst ask of today, when I know people, like I know people who have had COVID, there are people who have died from COVID. So it's not like I heard somebody such and such, this is, I know. And so if that's the worst thing, if that's the biggest ask of today, that's an easy fix for me. And also I wanted to say, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do it because they're taking from my rights and this is what they're trying to do. Listen, you see how we're spiking again now? And people are like, well, you can't make me, you can't make me. What that's going to do is push something to a head to where somebody is going to start making. So the very thing that you say that you don't want to happen, you're pushing to make happen. Put on the mask. Let's deal what we got to deal with for these next 18 to 20 months or less if we all get on board. And let's come on out of this thing.
That's right.
Let's come on out of this thing. You were fighting the wrong battle,
Right.
We're fighting the wrong battle.
You give out so many what I call jewels on this show. So much real talk. And Sharon just gave another jewel. If I don't see a T-shirt that clearly says, if the worst thing today that happens to me is I have to wear mask and living a good day, then I mean you failed. If I don't see a T-shirt with that on it, Friday, someone's not listening up, right? Someone's not listening up.
Lisa's listening. She's gonna do it.
Let's get it. Get it. So, Karen Cherry, during COVID, how has, and for everyone, I want everyone to answer this question: how has your leadership approach changed because of this crisis? What do you do different as a leader?
For one, just gratitude to have such a great team, and team is the key word, because I was listening to Sharon Combs, said she was on, I can't remember what podcast what group you were with, but we're saying people that are leaders, we just say because I said so. And I feel with COVID, we all had to stop and reevaluate where we were with our policies, our processes. And so, and also knowing that alone we couldn't do it, as a leader, as a owner, we needed everyone everyone to understand the importance of what their roles were. And so I feel like with my group, people were empowered a lot more than, because we were working remotely, so empowered to bring their A game for real. We say bring your A game, but yeah. So as a leader, I've felt that, it was hard initially seeing my group out there going to the airports and just being more grateful, showing more gratitude, and just being there in whatever way I could be there to support my team as we continue to research and do what we could to support the facilities.
Okay, Ms. Green Golden.
As a leader that was actually in the hospital the whole time, working every day, we didn't have as many surgical cases, but we had surgical cases. And as you all know, we don't just work for surgery. People were still being born. People still need to get their cancer treatments because they didn't have COVID. They couldn't just sit home and die from cancer waiting to see if they were going to get it. It was about transparency, leadership through transparency. Being very transparent with the group as to what was going on at all times, not holding back any untruths, letting them know that how many cases we had in the hospital each day, letting them know how many people died each day, letting them know why it was important that we do what we're supposed to do. As I said in the book, we're supposed to clean our area every day.
Right.
COVID should not have come in for us to start wiping. Now, I don't always get to see my team as they come in, but once COVID came, I was in the middle of the floor and they was grabbing wipes and they was wiping walls and clocks and doors and light switches and their shoes and just wiping so much. I said, were we really doing this much wiping before the COVID? You know, the book always said, clean your area each shift.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we found is what we weren't doing. What COVID has taught us is that we weren't washing our hands like we're supposed to. We wouldn't have to. My watch now counts down 20 seconds when I hit water. It said, wash your hands 20 seconds, and it counts it down. I didn't ask it to. It's just starting to do stuff. People were grabbing toilet paper. Apparently, we weren't wiping ourselves. We had to get a lot of toilet paper. I don't know about, I can't get the toilet paper together. But just telling people that you have to do what's right all the time, not just when somebody's looking. So once COVID came in, we were all looking at each other. Did you wash your hands? You just coughed. Go wash your hands. Did you sneeze? We pay attention. If you want to stop a room, cough in a room today.
That's right.
Cough. Start coughing. And watch everybody stop and back up and watch you. So the bottom line is that leadership meant telling the truth, being transparent, being vulnerable to the truth, allowing people to talk about how they felt. You know, we come in every morning. How do you feel today? What do you feel? You know, so-and-so, my friend, that letting them share. And then at the end of that saying, our job is patient safety. That's what we're here for. And let's do our best today.
Got it. Lila?
I definitely think it for me, looking at my leaders and then and transitioning as a leader. So people looking to you for answers, but then also looking at my leaders for answers and help and how we should navigate this. But I think some of the things that I've started to notice is just that you know, our system is so weak because at this point, when someone, you know, has an inkling or a symptom, they need to now therefore stay home. And then with contact tracing, right, within the department, even just within our department, well, I ate lunch with so-and-so yesterday and they stayed home because they're getting a COVID test. I need to go home and quarantine. So you can easily have a department go from 30 to 12 in a matter of a day because of people not paying attention to their surroundings, laxing on their protocols, you know, and just simple things like that. And we don't control what people do outside of our environment. So I think that if we were stronger at setting those standards in the beginning, I think people would really they would have taken it so much more seriously in their own personal life, and they would have carried that over into their home, into their neighborhoods, into their churches, into their family. They just would have, I think it would have carried over, because these are things like Sharon just said, this is what we've been doing, right? We supposed to have been wiping these areas down every day. So I know I wipe down my countertops and the kitchen and clean and mop up every day after I cook a meal when I come home. That didn't stop, and it doesn't change now that we have COVID. But I just realized that more people are stepping inside because I can't find cleaning supplies like I used to either. You know, the aisles are emptying out of those things, disinfectants. Right. So it's just changing our perception. I think that leaders, as a leader, you have to kind of live and preach what you talk about every day, you know, and live by it.
Okay. Sharon Combs. Same question for you.
For me, what it did is I typically teach about the stages of transition. That's one of, you know, like the book Hold Your Form and all of that. So what I did differently as a leader, and I continue to do my utmost to inspire. But I lingered longer when I saw somebody was in fear or in uncertainty, even though they may not have used that language. I looked at the behaviors and different things, and I was very careful not to shame, not to get caught in the land of should and blame. If you think back since March, there's been so much blame and finger pointing, but what I did was I did my utmost to try to have more grace. Even though I was still in the same uncertainty that other people were feeling too, I was aware that I was feeling it, but they may not have known what was driving them. So I just tried to be a lot more graceful with everyone, with the education system. You know, there's no sense in me fussing out a teacher. That teacher doesn't know what's going on. No sense in me fussing out the superintendent. You're supposed to be the superintendent. When are we back in school? He doesn't know. He doesn't know what, this is his first brush with COVID too. And so it's always easy to say what we would do if that was us. If I was the president, I do this. If I was a millionaire, I do this. You don't know. You haven't even been a thousandaire yet. You know what I'm saying? You haven't even been a senator yet. And so I really just tried to have a lot more grace instead of anger, because when people are afraid, they blame, they get angry. And so what I did as a leader was I helped people navigate that without pointing out and being like, you just angry. No, I didn't say you just angry. I just recognized where they were, and I did my best to lead them to a better place or a better space. And I think that's what we can do as leaders sometimes. Sometimes you don't have to let people know, well, this is what I did for you. No, just help. Just help and be graceful. Somebody was graceful to me. Somebody was graceful to you. So, you know, take a knee the right way.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Take a knee the right way. And that's what I love. I mean, all of these things are in the book. The contact times, y'all, I want to encourage everybody watching, get the book. Right. The book is only $14.44 for the Power of Four. And for you all who don't know, 4 is great. 4 seasons, 4 quarters, 4 streams in the Garden of Eden. Just, it's a lot of 4s going on, you know. Yes. But go ahead and get the book. It's only $14.44 right now.
Is it for sale?
It's for, and it is for sale. You're right. You know, I think regular price is almost what, $24, almost $25. So this book is helpful, and it's helpful right now. So you can order it right now and have it, and you could help your family. The holiday season is here, you know, and then you can have something credible. You don't have to work in sterile processing. If you work in sterile processing, get it, period. It's going to be something credible in case you don't know. So when somebody have you doing something crazy, you can just look on through there. Sharon Green Golden got a lot of stuff in there about Auntie Amy, some Amy, just things you need. Yes. Real stuff you can use for your department on the whole. Behavioral intelligence, education, business. You know, if you're worried about, well, what am I going to do with business? My employees, Karen talks about that. So, man, get this stuff. It helps. Get this book, y'all. It helps. Holidays here.
You know what I'm thinking? Because me and several of my colleagues are planning an event called the Scrub Ball. It may be possible that folks who have a purchased copy of the book, there may be a discount in it for you to enter into the Scrub Ball. So we'll talk about that at another time. But before we depart, I do have one more question. I know we're a little over an hour. 2020 is coming to a close very quickly. If there was a time capsule and you had to place a short, and keep it short, Tim, a short message for someone behind you who wanted to know what was 2020 about, what's your message? Lala Price, lead us off.
2020 was a year of transition, growth, change. I think we all found out a little bit more who we were. And I'm looking forward to the person that I'm going to be in 2021, because I've been through a lot this year.
Okay. Ms. Green Golden.
2020 for me was a year of visions coming to fruition. You know, I've sat back and thought about doing things. In 2020, everything going left made me think and realize that we have to live in the moment and don't put things off for tomorrow. We say it always, tomorrow's not promised, just get it done. And so 2020 for me, if I was leaving a message, would be live in the moment, do what's right always, and be true to yourself.
Got it. Ms. Sherry.
I'd say for me, revamping, reinventing, and piggyback on Sharon Green Goldenberg. Don't wait till Sunday to wear my good dress. Wear it now.
Gotcha.
2020 was a year of vision. You know, when you wear glasses, you buy glasses so it corrects your vision to 2020. I feel like 2020 corrected a whole lot of people's vision. Everybody think they were seeing things right, in 2020 let you know, no. Your vision been off. You know, some of the areas we focused in, the things we gave priority, even our heroes, you know what I'm saying? Basketball stopped, you saw different things. All of that stuff got real thin real quick, and we began to see what really matters. So I feel like 2020 helped us to see. Helped us to see for real.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, my message will be for 2020 is simple. Love harder. Right? Just love harder. This has been an amazing conversation. Look at all of the comments coming in. So great job. We have to get this all-star cast coming up. Like I said before, you held this secret so tight-lipped. I thought I was in the know. I thought I knew all of the power brokers. So good job there. Good job there. Sharon?
Hey, so can we for the book, we do want people to have the book. Again, like I said, Sharon Green Golden, thanks for spearheading this, and Karen, just man, I was so honored to. So do we want to do a special? It's on sale $14.44. Do we give people a couple of hours? Whoever buys it before midnight, maybe 2 for 1.
Hey, I want to do something. The first 10 people to say something that they want the book and they can't afford it, I will buy 10 copies right now for 10 people. Just inbox me, follow me, and I have 10 copies that I will gladly give a paperback book.
Can we get your cell phone number? We're gonna inbox you right now. We're gonna take care of that right now.
Information will be on the link, but just reach out to me. I would gladly. I think it's so important that people have it. I want to give it to someone who may not be financially prepared to make this purchase right now, but
I want you to can afford it. Yeah, cool.
I want you to have it.
All right. Well, then I'm going to say that, guys. Anybody who buys it before midnight Pacific time tonight, the link is up there. You get 2 for 1. And who will pay it off is me. Don't call it 12:01. Do it by 12.
Is that time? No.
Right.
Listen, let me just say before we go that the other thing that we did do, we were very fortunate and honored to have Corey Ofsted, renowned epidemiologist, to do a foreword, and Julie Williamson of Isham, the editor, publisher, she's an author within her own right, did a foreword for our book. And that meant so much to us because they had to read the book first and see if it had any merit. And for them to be willing to put their name in our book means it's worth something, people. So support us, support our initiative, get the book.
Your people too. Support your people. The book is the book is going to help.
Get the book. Y'all buying the Inquirer. Buy my book, please. Buy the book. Till midnight, Sharon says she's going to give you 2 for 1.
Yeah, and sure, don't be trying to hold both books for you. Give it to somebody in your family. Everybody doesn't work in sterile processing. Some people still think you can sterilize a mask.
Yes, yes. Support the creative genius of P4. The fact that we put this together usually takes people years. They get writer's block. They write the book for 20 years. God blessed us to do this book, like the vaccine, in less than 8 months. It must be something about quickness. Let's do this. Thank you.
Wait a minute. If you have the cloth mask, there are filters you can get on Amazon. Just to let you know, a little more barriers. We were saying, N95 is not necessarily for you if you're not on front line with the patient. But get a mask. Get a filter that you can put in that mask and give you extra protection.
That's right. Hey, team Knowledge and Nonsense, Nuts and Bolts conversation. We so appreciate this ensemble. This conversation was amazing. Catch us next time. Same bat time, same bat channel, except on Saturday. Sharon, take us out.
All right, you guys be safe. God bless.
Thank